Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Unscripted. I am Dawn Mitchell, and today my guest is a young man who grew up before your very eyes. And I say that literally. Jack Jablonski joining us. Jack, you have never let paralysis define you. You have taken us along for the ride, so to speak, and you refuse to let it define other people. And that kind of has been one of your life missions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's obviously been, we're coming up on 13 years now, and it's crazy. It's
13.
Yeah, it's been 13 years. It's hard to fathom because it feels like so much has happened, but so much has also, physically, obviously I've made a ton of changes, but at the same time, it's flown by. Here we are, almost, or Baker's dozen years later, and life has obviously, taken some turns, but at the same time, definitely, as you mentioned, one of those missions and things that I live for and am very passionate about is helping people in my situation with my foundation and obviously just kind of an everyday life, trying to be as positive and uplifting as possible for anyone who might be watching.
And when I said you take us along for the ride, you literally have, letting people talk to you from day one, basically, your highs and your lows. And recently you've had a lot of highs. Can you explain those to us?
Yeah, life's good. I've obviously moved out to Los Angeles and work for the LA Kings, and things within that world are great. It was a mission of mine to stay in the game and be a part of the sport that I obviously fell in love with at a young age. And despite the injury, it's something that I'm still very passionate about and can't really live without. So being able to be a part of the sport and work in it has been a huge accomplishment that I'm very proud of, and obviously I'm still striving for more. Obviously, in the last year or two I came out. That was a very interesting journey, given the highs and the lows prior to be coming out publicly. But since then, it's been great being able to just be myself and live life as I want to, and can be comfortable in my own skin. And then obviously just physically things are really good as well. So being able to continue progressing and being able to make minimal improvements, but for people like myself, minimal improvements are huge for the quality of life and a little bit of independence as well that we all crave.
Let's start talking about those improvements. When you can use your hand, feed yourself, drink.
Yeah.
It brought me to tears the first time. Was it frustrating getting to that point? And that day that you did it, where you're like, whoa.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you live it. You don't always, you obviously understand what's going on in your life, but you also try to not look at the larger picture because of the reality of the situation you're in. For me, it's very day to day, and obviously that's continued hard work and a lot of physical therapy, a lot of electric stimulation, a lot of things that my foundation has been very vocal about and what we've raised money for. At the same time, just staying healthy, being able to be ready for when these medical advancements come to fruition. And for me, I was fortunate enough to be part of a trial study that involved electric stimulation, and was able to make some pretty impressive gains in terms of having a little bit more hand function. While I can't wiggle my fingers individually, I can still use them and have strength within them to be able to pick things up and grab things and hold on to things that are heavier than what I used to be able to do in the past. So continuing to improve physically is obviously something I'm very passionate about, wanting to be more independent, to live life to the fullest and be able to experience as much as possible while still being in this situation. So it's going well. Hopefully it continues to improve, and most importantly, staying out of the hospital and staying healthy.
You and I have had conversations over the years about when you feel pain.
Yeah.
And years ago, and I said I'm one of the lucky ones where my first back injury, a doctor said, make friends with your pain. And I think the pamphlet he gave me, I threw across the room.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing it different because you have to measure progress because that's your body talking to you. And you said, I'm happy that I was beginning to feel pain.
Yeah.
Can you explain that for people who may not understand that?
Yeah, I mean, pain is, it's not ideal, of course,
Right.
but it's good in the situation where, you know, obviously you look at someone in a wheelchair who's dealing with paralysis from a spinal cord injury, you can't feel everything, right? You can't, you know, feel if someone has their hand on your kneecap. So for me, it's a matter of when I was starting to feel pain in, you know, certain areas, whether it's in your hands or your shoulders or your joints. That was good because that was my body talking to me, and for a long time I wasn't getting the message and wasn't able to feel that, hey, something's wrong. And my body communicates in very different ways because of the injury, and you know, it works in miraculous ways, being able to explain or try to notify you if something is wrong below the level of feeling. But at the same time, I can also feel pain just as you can, and anyone watching. So being able to get that back or parts of that back in certain areas, it's progress and it's great, but obviously at the same time, you know, you prefer to be pain-free too.
Well, and I'm happy that you're emotionally pain-free, because coming out probably had to be a battle that you had with yourself first.
Yes.
And then second, maybe something that I'd be interested in knowing, like, when did you have to grapple with it yourself in addition to your physicality? And that's a lot to bear at one time. So did you compartmentalize? How did you do that?
Yeah, it was obviously a very isolating journey as things continued to progress. You know, the injury obviously in reality delayed kind of the inevitable of realizing who you were. And you know, it hits everyone at a different time, right? Some people know when they're 5, some people don't know until they're 40, right? So for me, the realization and the dealing with it internally of that, you know, oh bleep moment was COVID, because I had just moved to a new city. Of course, I didn't know many people. You know, I started a new job with the Kings, but I'd only been there for 3 months. COVID hits, and then, you know, you're by yourself a ton. I live with an assistant, but, you know, not that type of relationship of just opening up the floodgates of emotions. So for me, it was kind of that realization. And then it was the process of having overcame so much with the injury, both physically and mentally. It felt like the same type of hurdle of, okay, when I got injured, it was the reality of physically this is where you're at, but also there's still life to live. There's so many positives, and you just have to work on yourself, both mentally, but obviously physically, of course, to be able to get back so much what you can from a physical standpoint with the injury. With the coming out process, it was the same emotional hurdle of knowing how much work I had to do on myself to be comfortable, to be proud of who I was, to embrace it. You know, that was a long process, and it was unfortunately a very dark road by myself until I, you know, sought therapy and was able to start telling people. And you know, it gets easier when you start telling more people, and you know, obviously being supported was huge from my family, my friends, and obviously when you're by yourself for so long, especially in COVID, and I had so many different factors that played into it, of the what ifs when it came to coming out, of my foundation supporters, you know, would they agree with that lifestyle, or what if they didn't, and how would that support be? Or everyone who obviously grew up watching me and supporting me, whether it was financially donating at any point in time in life to myself or the foundation, or just, you know, praying for me, or whatever it was. There were so many different people that I knew the story kind of affected, at least the storyline. So you didn't want to really disappoint anyone, but at the same time, it was hard to grapple that with focusing on yourself.
I was going to say, you don't want to disappoint yourself first and foremost. Exactly.
And I didn't really understand how to go about it because of, you know, growing up the way I did. You know, it never clicked.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you look at the stereotypical world as a 4-sport athlete and a masculine, you know, kind of guy, they don't go hand in hand from a society standpoint. So it was kind of a hard thing to understand the reality of, and then obviously accept.
But you talked about the support.
Yeah.
And the acceptance.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel after you took that scary step?
Yeah, it was amazing. I was so fortunate to be, supported by so many people, both, within my friend group and my friends and the people around me, but obviously from a media standpoint and everyone that has followed me in my journey and was obviously happy for me being able to finally, be myself and not necessarily hide something that obviously is a stressful thing to hide, because there's so many factors that you don't know how people can be exploited and taken advantage of. And for me to finally just be able to be myself and live my life and I guess start that new chapter, but that that chapter at 26 years old that was finally able to just kind of be free and kind of fly.
And you just said, live my life. And I said, you know what, Jack, you've lived your life, right? You said, I'm going to California for college.
Yeah.
And you owned it. You owned USC. You got a job at the Kings. You're thriving with the Kings. And every time I see your social media, you have the coolest tricked out chairs that take you on the beach. Yeah. You're always with your friends. You're smiling. Like, I would say you're winning at it right now.
Yeah, definitely winning in life. And again, obviously with the injury, it's not something you'd wish upon your worst enemy. And the reality and what goes on behind the scenes, not being able to get out of bed or in bed on your own, all those little things. And obviously that's just the beginning of, the iceberg, so to speak. But given the situation, I'm so happy in life, being able to follow my dreams, being able to be comfortable. A big reason why I left Minnesota was because of the weather. Unfortunately, with the injury, whether, when people look at you, obviously they see the physical disability, but there's so many other aspects. And for me, I'm unable to control my body temperature. So not being able to be comfortable in weather essentially below 65 and sunny was something I quickly realized with 2 winters in Minnesota after the injury while I was in high school. So being able to go to California, live a healthier life, both from a medical standpoint, but obviously mentally as well, being comfortable in the sun, but then obviously being able to go to USC, be able to graduate, and then, follow my dream in sports in a city that's obviously warm and sunny is kind of the best of both worlds. So, I live in Hermosa Beach. It's a great town, being able to be accessible.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's such a
I know.
bad place.
It's not easy in the winter time when the sun goes down at 5 o'clock and it's 65.
So cold.
Yeah, exactly. But, the reality of things is I'm happy. I've kind of found my area in life, both from a work standpoint, but obviously health and happiness when it comes to just living.
With your foundation, many people may not know, you made that concerted change from believe in miracles to believe. Because doing the hard work, getting the stimulation, which we'll talk about, that's hard work. That's science. How were those conversations to go from like, okay, I formed this amazing foundation, but let's now take, in lack of a better term, the next step, because you want to take a physical step.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when you go back to December 30th, 2011, when I was injured, at that time with where science was, it seemed like you needed a miracle to improve life, whether it was getting more hand function and arm function, to obviously the eventual goal of beating paralysis and getting out of the chair. And as our foundation and obviously foundations across America and the world continue to fund spinal cord injury research, we realized that it no longer needs to be a miracle. We have science. It went from believe in miracles to believe in science and recovery because of the progress that our foundation made with Mayo Clinic and the University of Louisville and UCLA, all the top spinal cord injury doctors and facilities in the world with who we've been able to be fortunate to support projects and trial studies with. We have epidural stimulation that has taken a guy who's been a paraplegic to being able to walk the length of a football field by himself with a walker. we've been able to take people like myself who struggled to be able to pick up grapes and feed myself, to being completely comfortable in second nature of just grabbing things and being able to feed myself food, or be able to take my shirt off, things that all take a lot of help with someone in the spinal cord injury world. It's awesome. I'm so proud of what my foundation and everyone that's been a part of it, whether they've been on the board and put in all the time at the meetings, or the doctors we've worked with, to anyone who obviously has supported, come to an event, or financially donated. We're proud of what we've been able to accomplish. We're just getting started. I talk about how I'm in it for the long haul, both from a physical standpoint of wanting to beat it, but also from a standpoint of raising awareness and funds for the foundation to be able to beat paralysis. And year to date, we've raised over $5 million, which we're extremely proud of, and hopefully,
Congrats.
Cheers to the next 5 in a quicker manner.
And many people may not realize, for years, you were raising these funds for awareness for these clinical trials that you were never a part of.
No,
for at least 7 of the.
We're 12 years plus into the foundation, and probably the first 10 years, I had no, of course, as the medical world continues to improve and grow and we learn more, you're benefiting because we're getting closer, right?
Right.
But I never was a part of a trial study, whether it was me being ineligible or it just wasn't, my time to be able to try to improve my life. The ultimate goal is getting the 300,000+ Americans a year who live with paralysis, with a spinal cord injury, to improve their lives and eventually out of their chairs. And I'm one of them. Of course, I've been fortunate to have such an opportunity to have a voice and to be a speaker on behalf of them. But, again, like I mentioned earlier, I'm still dealing with paralysis just like everyone else is. And as much as I want it, the next person does as well. So to be able to have an opportunity to give back and help everyone who's in the same situation as me is something that I'm very proud of. And it's obviously very humbling to be someone who's kind of a chosen speaker for that population.
What is your latest trial and successes with your foundation?
Yeah, so currently we're in stage 2 of what is called the Scone Device. I was fortunate enough to be a part of trial study number 1, phase 1, and of the 27 people who use the Scone Device, which, to put it simply, is an electrical stim device. I know it's football season right now. The best way to describe it is there's 2 pulses of electric stimulation. The first stimulation is essentially the offensive line that kind of blocks all of the people coming at it in terms of the getting past the offensive line. And that second wave of stimulation is kind of like the running back running through the stimulation to the spinal cord.
Wow.
And with that type of strategic stimulation, I was fortunate enough to be a part of one of the 27 people that benefited. All 27 participants in the trial study benefited physically in some way, shape, or form. We're now in stimulation phase number 2, and that is to prove that the device is a multifaceted, successful type of rehab, and that is focusing on the bladder, some of the lower body. There's 80 different participants across the nation, across I think 8 to 10 different facilities. Mayo Clinic being one of them, who we've obviously worked with in the past before, and it's going great. We're waiting on some results, but everything that we've heard is we're closing in on being able to try to go to the FDA, which can then take it out of the labs and move it to the clinics for people to hopefully benefit in the coming years.
I just got chills on that. That's pretty incredible, Jack.
It's great. We're super proud. Hopefully things continue to move in the right direction. It could be the first device that spinal cord injury participants or patients, people living with it, it could be the first FDA approved one. TBD, there's multiple things going on right now. But our goal isn't necessarily to be the first, it's just to help improve and move the needle forward for everyone that is living with a spinal cord injury. So hopefully things across the nation and across the world continue to improve within the research world. We're just one of those cogs in the wheel.
Well, coming up, I know you have an annual golf outing for the foundation. You have your winter one, but now you've been doing things in LA. So what are the few the upcoming that people can check out, either donate or show up and go to?
So first and foremost, we just launched our new website. It's been completely refurbished, completely updated with all of the latest information, obviously with my journey and my story, but most importantly with who we are as a foundation, where the science is. And so jablonskifoundation.org is where you can find more information on everything revolving around the foundation and its events. October 12th is going to be the upcoming gala with the Minnesota Wild. I believe it's against the Seattle Kraken. So we're excited to be a part of another event with the Minnesota Wild, who we're obviously very grateful to be partners with and having their support that is in conjunction with the Wild game. Obviously, we've got a foundation golf tournament that has been an annual staple at the Wilds in Prior Lake. So that comes up for us. We're excited for it. Obviously, the weather looks great. And obviously, as you mentioned, with California and life being out there, it's such a great opportunity to continue expanding the network and the funds raised, but obviously, awareness and raising money. This past summer, we've had our first event out there that was LA based. We had a pickleball event, 100 people signed up and came, sold it out. It was an awesome event that brought in some good money and is a great stepping stone for what is to come in Los Angeles with some more events that we're starting to plan. But obviously, being here in Minnesota, I'm so fortunate to have the opportunity to continue to try to stay relevant with what we have as a foundation and the progress that we can make, and very thankful for people like yourself.
Well, I am so proud of you, not only for the voice and the strong voice that you have through your foundation, but through the LA Kings. Go on the website and check out all of Jack's reporting and your stories. Every time I see you, it's not enough because I know you live far away, but I'm just continually blown away by not only the work you do and the person you are, but just how you're willing to be that rising tide that lifts all boats. So
I try. I was so fortunate, and every time I kind of talk about life in Minnesota, I can't repeat enough how lucky and fortunate I was to have support from so many people around the community, whether it was the hockey community or just the cities and everyone in the state, frankly, who supported me, obviously rooted me on and wanted me to make a healthy recovery. And to be able to have that platform and be given it, I'm very lucky, and I try to make the best of it and make everyone proud who continues to follow my story, or at one point did, and hopefully will jump back on the bandwagon. But by no means am I done in the world of trying to make a difference. Obviously, trying to represent a community that deserves better, frankly, and obviously we're on that path with what the foundation is doing. But anyone you see out there, you can make their day better if you have a good attitude and try to present yourself in the best way.
Well, Jack, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. And one of your early supporters, Jeremy Rona, going to the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
It's success all around.
Yeah, as of right now, the plan is to go there and support him. So, he's been a game changer in my life, and a very well-deserved Hall of Fame after a phenomenal career in sports.
Well, you're a game changer as well. So
thank you.
All right, thank you, Jack. You're the best. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh.
Thank you.